The gunshot cracked through the narrow alley before anyone even saw the shooter. A black sedan screeched sideways across the wet pavement, its headlights slicing through the darkness like blades. Men shouted in Korean. Someone slammed against a metal dumpster. A second gunshot echoed. Move, move, a voice barked. In the chaos, Zainab ran, her shoes slapped against the rain-soaked ground, breath tearing from her lungs as she sprinted past stacks of crates behind the Itaewon nightclub where she worked. The music from inside still pounded through the walls, oblivious to the violence outside. She shouldn't have come out here. She knew better. But the trash manager had insisted someone take the bags out. And now, another gunshot. The bullet struck the brick wall beside her head. Stop her, someone yelled. Zainab's heart nearly exploded. Why are they shooting at me? She screamed breathlessly. Because she had seen something she wasn't supposed to see. She cut sharply around a corner, nearly slipping in the rain. Then she crashed straight into someone. The impact knocked the air from her chest. Strong hands grabbed her shoulders before she could fall. Watch where you... The man stopped speaking the moment he saw her face. Zainab froze. Tall, broad shoulders, black suit soaked with rain. His hair was dark and pushed back from a sharp, dangerously handsome face. His eyes were cold, dark like the night sky before a storm. Behind him stood two men in suits, both reaching inside their jackets. One of them whispered urgently in Korean, Hung, they're coming. Zainab shook violently. Please, I didn't do anything. The man in front of her didn't respond. He just stared. Then his gaze shifted past her shoulder toward the men chasing her. 5 of them turned the corner at once. Guns raised. For a moment, the alley went still. One of the pursuers recognized the man holding Zainab, his face drained of color. Lee. The word came out like a curse. The tall man finally spoke. His voice was calm, quiet, deadly. You're in my district, he said. Rain dripped from his hair. One of the gunmen swallowed. She belongs to us. The man's grip on Zainab tightened slightly. She barely breathed. Does she? He asked softly. The leader of the pursuers stepped forward, gun raised. She saw something she shouldn't. Hand her over and this doesn't become a problem between syndicates. Syndicates. Zainab felt her stomach drop. She slowly turned her head to look up at the man holding her. Are you Mafia? She whispered. His eyes flicked down to her. For a brief moment, something unreadable passed through them. Then he looked back at the men. Leave. The single word echoed in the alley. The leader scoffed. You think we're afraid of? Before he finished the sentence, the tall man moved. Zainab barely saw it happen. A flash of movement. A gun appeared in his hand like it had materialized from the air. 3 shots rang out. The leader's gun flew from his hand. Another man dropped screaming as the bullet shattered his knee. The rest staggered back in shock. Silence swallowed the alley, except for rain and distant nightclub music. The tall man lowered his weapon slowly. Leave, he repeated. This time they listened. Within seconds, the men disappeared around the corner, dragging their wounded companion with them. Zainab realized she had been clinging to the man's suit. Her fingers loosened slowly. Thank you, she whispered. The 2 men behind him stepped forward immediately. Boss, this is dangerous, one of them said in Korean. She saw everything. Zainab stiffened. The word boss echoed in her head. Oh no. The tall man looked down at her again. Up close, she noticed something strange. His eyes weren't just cold, they were tired, like a man who had been fighting battles for too long. What's your name? He asked. Zainab. Zainab what? Zainab Adeyemi. Both men behind him reacted instantly. The one on the left muttered under his breath. Adeyemi? The tall man's expression sharpened. African? He asked. She nodded nervously. Nigerian. His gaze lingered on her face, then something dangerous flickered behind his eyes. What are you doing in Taiwan? He asked. I work at the club. You saw those men earlier? She hesitated. Yes. His jaw tightened slightly. What did you see? Zainab swallowed. They were meeting someone. They were arguing. Then one of them stabbed the other man. Both bodyguards cursed under their breath. The tall man's eyes darkened. So they chased you. She nodded. I didn't mean to look, she said quickly. I was just taking out the trash. I swear I won't tell anyone. The man studied her silently. Rain soaked through her hair. Her heart pounded so hard she thought he might hear it. Finally, he sighed. This is inconvenient. One of his men spoke immediately. We should eliminate the problem. Zainab's blood ran cold. Her head snapped toward them. Wait. The tall man raised a hand. His men fell silent. He looked down at her again. You're shaking, he said, because your friend just suggested killing me. He almost smiled. Almost. You heard him. Yes. Then you also heard me stop him. Zainab stared at him, confused. Why? For a moment he didn't answer. Then he said quietly, because killing innocent people is bad for business. That was not comforting. The bodyguard on the right leaned closer to him. Boss, if the Han Syndicate finds out she's alive. The tall man cut him off. They won't. Both men looked at him, then at Zainab, then back at him. Understanding dawned slowly. The man turned back to her. You're coming with us. Zainab blinked. What? You're not safe here anymore. I don't want to go anywhere with the Mafia. He tilted his head slightly. You prefer the men who were trying to shoot you? She opened her mouth, closed it. No. Good. He stepped past her and opened the back door of the black sedan. Get in. She hesitated. Every instinct screamed not to trust him, but the alley behind her still echoed with gunshots, and the men chasing her were part of a rival syndicate. Whatever that meant. Slowly, reluctantly, she slid into the car. The tall man followed. The door shut. The car pulled away from the alley. For several minutes, no one spoke. Zainab sat rigidly, staring out the window at Seoul's neon lights blurring through the rain. Finally, she whispered, Where are you taking me? The man answered without looking at her. Somewhere safe. That's not an answer. You'll survive without one. She frowned. You're very rude for someone who kidnapped me. That finally made him turn toward her. Kidnapped? He repeated. Yes, I saved your life, and then abducted me. One corner of his mouth lifted slightly. You're bold. I'm terrified, yet you keep arguing. That's how I cope. For a moment, the car was quiet again. Then she asked, What's your name? He hesitated, like the question mattered. Finally, he answered, Lee Minjae. She repeated it softly. Minjae. The bodyguard in the passenger seat turned halfway around. Boss, we shouldn't tell her that. Minjae didn't look at him. It doesn't matter. Zainab frowned. Why does it not matter? The bodyguard muttered under his breath. Because she's not staying long. Her stomach dropped. Minjae spoke calmly. Relax. That doesn't help. You're temporary. Temporary what? He finally looked straight at her. Temporary protection. Her eyes narrowed. And after that, that depends. On what? His voice dropped slightly. On whether your last name is the problem, I think it is. Zainab stiffened. What does my name have to do with anything? Minjae didn't answer. Instead, he pulled out his phone and sent a short message. The bodyguard in front received it. He read it, then slowly turned around again. His expression had changed. He stared directly at Zainab. Boss? Minjae's gaze remained on her. What? He asked. The bodyguard hesitated, then said carefully, the Nigerian syndicate leader in Seoul, the one allied with the Han family. Zainab felt a strange chill run through her chest. What about him? Minjae asked. The bodyguard swallowed. His name is Adeyemi. The car went silent. Zainab stared at them. Wait. Minjae's eyes darkened slowly. What is your father's name? He asked. Her voice came out small. Babatunde Adeyemi. The bodyguard cursed loudly. Minjae leaned back slowly in his seat. His jaw tightened. For the first time since she met him, he looked genuinely stunned. Zainab's heart began pounding again. Why are you looking at me like that? Minjae finally spoke. Quiet. Dangerous. Because your father, he said slowly, is the man my family has been at war with for 15 years. Zainab's entire world tilted. What? Minjae's gaze locked onto hers. And the men who were chasing you tonight. He paused. They work for him. The realization crashed into her like a train. No, that's not possible. Minjae's voice was calm again. It is. She shook her head rapidly. My father isn't, he's a businessman. Minjae almost laughed. A very successful one. Zainab's chest tightened. You're lying? Am I? Yes. Then why were his men trying to kill you? She couldn't answer. Her hands started trembling again. I didn't know, she whispered. Minjae studied her carefully. You really didn't. It wasn't a question. It was an observation. Zainab's voice cracked. I swear. The car slowed as they approached a massive iron gate. Security cameras rotated toward them. The gates opened automatically. The sedan rolled inside a sprawling compound overlooking the Han River. Zainab stared at the mansion in disbelief. Where are we? Minjae answered calmly. My house. The car stopped. The driver stepped out and opened the door. Minjae exited first. Then he offered his hand. Zainab hesitated, then took it. The moment her fingers touched his, a strange tension sparked between them. Both of them noticed. Neither mentioned it. He led her inside. The mansion was quiet, elegant, cold. As the door shut behind them, Minjae turned toward her. You can stay here tonight. Zainab hugged herself nervously. And tomorrow? His expression hardened slightly. Tomorrow, he said, we decide whether protecting you will start a war. Her throat tightened. With my father? Minjae nodded slowly. Yes. He stepped closer. Too close. His voice dropped. And if it does, their eyes locked, you might be the most dangerous woman in Seoul.